Why are we live?
Shabbat shalom, everybody. We're getting a little bit of an early start. Today's kind of a special day. We're going to be doing a class on the Torah scroll. So my lovely wife, Lila, will be giving a little bit of a class, and we just figured that maybe you would like to share in it, so we'll go ahead and do it as a live stream. So we will get started here momentarily, and Shabbat shalom.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for showing up for the Torah scroll class. This is basic information on how a Torah is created, the why, what goes behind it, the meaning, everything not everything, but as basic as I could get it. And I'm sure a lot of you will know more about the Torah and some other information. But why I started this study was one day I was looking at when the Torah scroll was coming out and all the reverence and the joy that we do with it coming out. And then I realized I had a book here that's always that can be published, can be copied, machines write it, bring it out, but our Torah scroll is not. So the why? Why hasn't this Torah scroll been created in our modern time? Why not? There is one that in Germany that was written by a machine, but none of the scribes will accept it because it's written by a machine. And it's not on parchment. It's just a big roll of paper. So then that got me started. Well, what all goes into creating a Torah scroll? And there's so much, so much. So that's kind of what this class is about. I'm kind of, well, I've been walking this way since 2008, and I never really thought about, what all goes into making the Torah scroll, how it is a living work. And why is it a living work? Because of all what goes into it. All right, so apparently I am going to be doing my own clicker. Okay. All right, go ahead, babe. All right. Oh, okay. So I do have an agenda. Of course, my husband's a trainer, so he made me write it a specific way. So that's why we have an agenda. So, okay. Why do we need to know about the Torah? What makes a Torah? How is a Torah written? Who can write a Torah? And how we dress a Torah, and then closing comments. There's so much that goes into this. It was amazing. Okay, babe. Why do we need to learn how a Torah is made? And as you see, not only do we have the parchment, we have the quill, we have the ink. All of this is made a very specific way. All right, and then this right here is just a picture of a awl. This is what makes the holes in the parchment. And it has to be a certain type of awl, and there's a reason behind that. And then when all of these parchments are created, they are stored by size, by weight, and there's different sizes of parchment, and so much goes into that. All right, babe. Now, why we need to learn how a Torah is made. So the Torah is a central part of our walk. We get guidance, we get advice, we hear how we should live, all from the Torah. It gives us guidance and instruction from Adonai, showing us how to live a happy life, meaningful. It inspires us. It gives us history. It also offers wisdom and examples to guide our daily action. Okay, babe. Okay, so let's start with the very basic part of a Torah scroll, and that's the parchment. Okay, now the materials that make a Torah is or are animal hides, the ink, the thread, and even the poles. You will never sing Etz Chaim He again after this. I mean, not again. You will never see it the same way because of what it means. All right. So, why are Torah scrolls written on animal hides? Okay. Now, Jewish law requires Torah scrolls to be prepared from kosher animals. What is a kosher, where does this come from? It comes from ancient practice, Talmudic law. It also is because it has to last. Paper, can be affected by a lot. It can tear easy. Hides don't. We're talking it has to be rolled, unrolled. It has to be carried. It has to be put away. So it has to be durable. All right. So that last long, resistant to decay, also be flexible and strong, and repairable over the centuries. All right. Babe? So, nope, that's not right. Types of hides. There we go. Okay. Can you go back one more? Yeah, there we go. All right. In my study, when I was looking this up, especially because I had to be very specific in my research, Torah, kosher, hides. So, came up with oxen, sheep, used historically because of their weight, goat, because it's the heaviest material, and historically deer, but not as often. Okay. Gazelle was used historically, but not common. Lamb, currently because of its lightweight, it's easy to stretch, and then calf skin because of medium weight. Now, what's interesting was that when we were talking about calf, and I was thinking, the spots on all these animals, they can be seen sometimes on the parchment, which was really interesting, and I never thought about it. But yes, you can see that. Now, let's see. All right. So, the hides, again, babe, it has to come from a kosher animal. It cannot be slaughtered just for the use of its hide. It also has to go under a special tanning and scraping process. I had a video, and I'm sorry we didn't attach it, but this rabbi was showing the children what it takes to scrape off the hair to make a kosher piece of parchment. Let me get this. Okay. So why cow? Okay, cow is thick, strong, and durable. Preferred for Torah scrolls. Goat. Used historically, especially in the Middle East, still used today in some communities. Sheep. Sheep parchment tends to be slightly thinner and smoother. And then deer, it's technically permissible if they're from a kosher species, but it's rare and very expensive. Now, what does this mean on the rules? Again, kosher animal. Chew its curd, split hooves. Now, what do scribes prefer? They like light, strong, flexible parchment. So, okay, yes. Now, I don't know if anybody knows about tanning a hide. My dad used to work at a tannery. Smelled horrible, very hot, and a lot of process, big old machines. But in this, this is what tanning a hide reminded me of. So they have to go through a tanning process, not only to help remove the hair, but also to clean and soften the hide. Now, they begin by removing as much flesh and unwanted tissue as possible. So they have to go through a chemical solution where they soak it and help like spin it, scrape it, go into a solution again. I wish I had the video. It's really neat how they go back and forth. After soaking it so many times, they scrape off the hair using a very special tool. They go ahead and they hook it, they stretch it, and then they scrape it down, and they do it again and again and again. Then the hides are rinsed. Babe? Okay, thanks. The hides are then placed on a frame, and they're stretched. Now, why stretched? Well, we got to make sure that the hide is going to be smooth. And to do that, they have to stretch it on a frame. While it's stretched on a frame, that's when they start scraping more. But we'll get into that here. Now, the hides are placed on a frame and stretched as they dry. This helps flatten the hides, and the layers of fiber that are on the hide becomes stretched and loose, and they can continue to scrape it. Now,
Both sides are scraped.
only the side with the hair is scraped. The rinsing process, the solution, like I said, they try to take off as much of the flesh and the other sinew and stuff like that off. Now, why the hide side is because that's the side where they're going to write on. All right. Now, okay. Now, I've seen videos where the hide is scraped by a machine. There are some that I've seen that it is scraped by hand with a very specific tool. And they keep stretching, drying, scraping, stretching, drying, scraping, so that they can take all what is on there and make it very smooth. Then, on a hide, it also prevents the hide from curling, so it's drying flat. Okay, so once they're dried, they're scraped, they remove the rest of the hair and the membrane. Then the hide is sanded, and like I said, the video, the slide that's going to come up says play video. And so then they sand it to make it very, very smooth. Now, babe, okay, thank you. Now, once it's been stretched, then the hide is taken down. Now, I do have to say that the hide is dried slowly, okay? And that's so that it preserves the flat, smooth writing surface. Now, I did research this, and that it says that the parchment maker does a very short prayer stating that for the holiness of a Torah scroll, because the parchment becomes a sacred object. Okay, it's part of and that's what its intention is. So, after they release the parchment from the frame, it is cut into large rectangular pieces. Now, there's different sizes. I didn't know this. Gavel, it's the full unsplit hide. That just, it's not cut. It's the whole hide. Then kalaf, I think that's how you say it. That's the hide that's split, which is mostly used for the Torah scrolls, which, if you remember the picture of the scrolls, you saw some of the scrolls were really big and some were really small. And then the other half of the split hide, with differing opinions that I looked up, is that inner and outer. This can only be used to write the mezuzot, not used for Torah scrolls. That's the flesh side. So, because I always wondered, if we have one side for just the Torah, what can we use the other side for? And that's kind of what this parchment research had shown. Okay, more about the parchment. Beep, beep. Mezuzot. Yes. At least that's what this said. And I thought that was kind of weird because we're talking parchment, we're talking Torah scroll, we're talking a blessing. So that I was kind of questioning that. I didn't follow that rabbit trail, but that would be definitely something you could look up.
So what I like
You know, when I was looking that up, what I found was that when they used one part of it for the Torah scroll, there were parts that were left. And I need to research that more to see about that. Like I said, this is like very basic. Yeah, but there's so much here that you could go and research and find out. Because we're just talking about how just the Torah scroll is made, but not how the blessings in your mezuzah is written, or other parchment papers like this that Christy brought up. And so, but that is definitely a good question to go ahead and kind of look up. Yes, yes. And that's kind of what this all is to pique your interest, to go and research more, to have discussions about this. Oh, I wonder about this. She said this. Let me go look it up. That's kind of what this is for. Okay. Once they have cut the parchment down, the parchment is bought by owners who sell scribe supplies. The price depends on the quality and the color of the material. Now, the price of hide at the time I researched this was 60 cents to $1.21 a pound. A scroll can weigh 20 to 50 pounds, depending on the material that they've used. Now, again, the price is animal, quality, company. So what goes into the cost, it varies a lot. And even the price of the cost of a Torah scroll also is dependent on type of material, who wrote it. So that was very interesting. Okay. Again, the price is affected by the type of animal, quality and preparation, size, and number of sheets. So like I said earlier, you see the different sizes of all the Torah scroll, the parchment, and then some are darker, some are lighter. So it's the scribe who decides what material they want to use. So that was very interesting. Okay. All right. Now, please note that only the side of the hide that's used for writing is the side where they had the hair. Like, that's what we were talking about earlier. Most parchments are prepared in Israel. I found this very interesting. There are a few tanneries here in the United States. One family was really trying to keep their tannery alive. And what they decided to do was to prepare hides for Torah scrolls. And what was interesting is their business climbed. So, but there are very few tanneries here in the United States because of all the steps and the blessings and everything that needs to do to prepare the hide. Okay. Got it. Okay. When a parchment is purchased, a scribe will prepare the parchment to begin writing. They first say a prayer, and most give tzedakah, a donation. They have a little tzedakah box. You will find YouTube videos of them actually doing this. They come to their office or room. It's really a room. And they carry the Torah scroll that they're writing. They lay it out, and they prepare everything before they start anything. And then he says his prayer. He gives his tzedakah, and then he begins writing, which was really interesting. I found many YouTubes that did it that way. Not saying they all do it that way. I have found women scribes, but I'll get into that, how a scribe and the training that they have to go by. And what is interesting, I did find maybe 2 or 3 women on YouTube from Israel who are considered scribes. Most are men. Okay, so he will use he will scribe the parchment using a tool that's non-metallic to make the fine groove. So Christy was nice enough to bring this. And because this is pretty new, if you want to come and look at it, you will see the lines that the scribe wrote on here, or scribed on here. If you ever look on our Torah scroll, you barely can see them. It's so old. It's been used so often you can't see it like a fresh parchment has made. Now, he usually makes 42 lines per column, and he makes 3 columns per page. Now, that's hide, okay? And here he's using the tool. Okay. There are, okay, so once the page has been scribed, we then start with the ink. The ink has very special requirements as well, just to be on the Torah scroll. Ink sits on the parchment. It does not get absorbed. That's why we use, we don't touch it, because our oils will affect the ink. It can, that's why we use our yods when we're reading the Torah scroll. Okay. Ink. I found this very exciting. Okay, the ink that is used for a Torah scroll is non-metallic, and that's because metal is associated with weapons of war. That's why they don't use that. Since the ink sits on the paper, it is not absorbed. It's specially made. Each scribe will make their own or go buy it from who they find is very reputable. I did find a couple of scribes who did make it. They say they have their own. Why they make it is because they have it flow a certain way off the quill and to make the design. So they like it either thicker, thinner, and so that's why some make their own. Now, the ink is made from gall nuts. I thought, okay, it's a nut. It's a nut, but it's not a nut. A gall nut is not a nut. It is when a wasp lays their eggs on a leaf of a tree, of a certain tree, and the tree has an allergic reaction to that. So then it surrounds the egg and forms a ball. Now, the larva comes out of the little shell and leaves the ball. The ball is gathered, crushed, and then other items are made by the scribe to create the ink. So, babe, could you add one more? So this is a gall nut. I thought it was pretty cool. And so then he uses these other materials to make the ink. They don't give like a recipe because each one likes to do their own feel, the way it flows. And so so that's how the ink is made. Now again, they can go to the store and make them, but the ingredients are pretty much the same. Okay, babe, can you go back one? All right. No, the picture. All right. Okay, so we're talking now about the quill. Okay, to write a scroll, a Torah scroll, a scribe cannot use a pen or anything that is made from metal, again, because metal is related to instruments of war. The quill must be a feather or a quill from a kosher animal, such as a turkey or goose. They cannot be pulled off of live animals. Okay, the scribes will trim the quill to their liking because each one has their own style of making the letters. Oh, babe, can you go back the picture? Okay. What was interesting, I'm sorry there, it's blurry. On the screen back here, it looks a little clearer. But these poor guys, when they're cutting those quills, you see cuts on their fingers from where, as they're doing it, they may nick their finger or something. But they will go through a few quills to write this Torah scroll. Because, you're writing and it wears and it's not pointed. And so they do another one. They do another one. So just wanted to let you know about the quills and how they write that. Okay. Now, after the parchment's made, after the scribe gets the parchment, he scores it, he creates his ink, he has his quill, and he has finished writing his Torah scroll. The other material that is used in a Torah scroll is the thread that brings the pages together. And you can see this on our own Torah scroll. Now, that means that before they're sewn together, we'll discuss this a little more in a little bit. The scribe checks his work. It's really interesting. They do it in a couple of ways. One, they have like this monitor and this screen, and they score it like this, check it, kind of make a copy, and then it compares it to what is on their software to make sure it's all written correctly. And so if not, they then kind of take a picture of it, make it bigger, and then they check each one of the letters and how it's written, and to make sure it's correct also. So, all right. Now, again, earlier I showed you an instrument like this big, and it's the one that it's called an awl. It makes the holes in the parchment. Again, cannot be, it's non-metallic. It's a hole puncher. Okay, now let's get back to the string. Okay, this like plastic, really hard plastic. I saw some that were wood, but non-metallic. Okay, string used is sinew, or a piece of tough fibrous tissue from a kosher animal, again, that unites the muscle to bone and bone to bone. Now, the sinew, again, is taken from the hind leg tendons because of its color. It's dried in the sun to preserve it, to prevent decay, and allow long storage. It is then pounded to loosen it. Okay, then it's separated, and it's then made into a thick thread. Some processes will go ahead and water it, make it wet, but because they do that, it weakens the thread. So some make that optional. Sometimes they'll chew it. You know, I found a video where they did that. They got the sinew and they were chewing. I guess it's however they make it. Okay, so once the thread is ready, the parchments are sewn together. All right. So, could you go one? There we go. So now you get a better picture of the awl. See the wooden handle up on the top, and then the needle and thread here. All right, so now we've got it all together. So those are the materials that go into making the Torah scroll. Not every single thing, but the basics. Now, writing a Torah scroll has its own method. All right. So now that we've covered what goes into the making, let's talk about who can write. And that was a question you asked earlier. Who can write a Torah scroll? A scribe is a person who is specially trained to hand write a Torah scroll on parchment and is knowledgeable about the strict traditional rules and guidelines. The Jewish name for a scribe is a sefer. Okay. Now, the sefer means one who counts. Okay, a sefer must know about the lettering, the number of lines, the columns, the spaces, and which makes the scroll kashrut. And what we mean by letters is that you will see in a Torah scroll, they're in a perfect column. And sometimes the letter has to be stretched to reach the edge of that column. When do you do that? How do you do that without compromising the letter? All right. So, and the next picture is, as you see, he's, sorry, it's kind of blurry. I'm looking back here, which is a clearer picture. As you see, he's writing it. And the ink is still kind of wet, but it's perfectly aligned here. And so are the letters. That's the lines that are scribed along here that he's following. Because I always wondered, how did he keep a straight line? Did he use a ruler? And, no, once they're scribed, that is what he's following, is that line that's scribed on the parchment. Okay. A sefer must be trained by another sefer. Even they do an apprenticeship. Someone asked male, female. Most of them are male. But there have been female scribes, and you can find them on YouTube, and they will talk to you about their training, how hard it was to get training from a scribe because they're female. And there's rules on that. I didn't go into all of that. They must be observant, of good character within the community. Now, also, because of their character, because they're known, it can up the price of a scroll. If a very popular, well-known scribe has just done a Torah scroll, it will go ahead and up the cost of the Torah scroll. Now, to become a certified sefer, you have to take extensive classes, training, and pass an exam. And most of the scrolls are written in Israel. All right. Now, we've gone to Israel a couple of times, and we have seen scribes behind a door. And I think, Anthony, you were talking about that, behind a glass door in a room so you could see him actually write. In Besora. Okay. And then when we went to Israel, we saw one as well. And they will set certain times to write. And then they'll stop and they'll come back again and they'll start. Most times scribes, again, like we had said earlier, will make their own ink. They will select the type of quill they want to use and cut it themselves. When they finish a section, they check it, again, like I was saying earlier, with a scanner attached to a program. Because if they make a mistake, there are certain ways to correct it, and sometimes they would have to do that whole page all over if the mistake is great. Okay. And we just went right into what I was just saying. Okay. If a mistake is made, the scribe will correct it depending on how minor it is. There is a YouTube video out there that this sefer who corrects Torah scrolls and repairs them talks about why he's repairing them. So whoever had written that Torah scroll, the lettering, let's say some of it flaked off and it looks like another letter. So he goes in there and he rewrites that letter. But if it is a letter that was mistaken, there are ways that he can minorly repair it. Now, if this mistake is major, it will change the lines, it will change the columns, and he has to redo that whole parchment. If the name of Adonai is misspelled, the parchment is removed and buried. There are certain places where parchments are buried, and so then they have to redo that parchment all over again. So you see him correcting one here. I didn't think they could be corrected, but if it's very minor, they can go ahead and correct it, and they can only use particular things to correct it with. So there's, but before we get into that, also we were talking about the special emblems on the Torah scroll, and you'll see them on some of the letterings, the little crown. There are special emblems that are written on top of certain letters. Only a scribe knows the meaning of these embellishments and why they're on there, and passes them on to another scribe. And so there's a lot of research I did on that. Some people said, oh yeah, it's because of the holiness of the word, and there was so much contradiction of why. I just didn't even bother. If a sefer knows why it's there, they know why it's there. Hopefully God will enlighten me one day and let me know why. That would be great to know. Now, what are the most pages of parchment, should I say, that are repaired the most? The first and the last of the Torah. Because they're rolled up, they're rolled all the way to the back. So the scribes have said those are usually the pages that are most repaired or replaced. Again, no robots are allowed to write a Torah because they do not follow the kosher rules. Also, robots are made of metal, and again, metal, we don't want any attachment to symbols of war. Okay, now, a Torah. I don't know if any of you have seen when we get to the very end of our Torah, how long it could actually be. It can be very long. Some Torahs are as long as 90 feet long, and I think one time we rolled all ours out, and I believe it was from this side of the room, and we rolled it all the way to that side of the room. So it is very long. There are exactly 304,805 letters, and there are 240 columns in a scroll. It will take a scribe anywhere from a year to 3 years to write a Torah. And so here's where we got the roll. For ours, when we roll it up, we usually use our bima here, and we roll it to the beginning for the beginning of the year. Okay. Now, when I was talking about repair, tape is mainly not used to repair a Torah scroll because it can further damage the parchment. And so some will use another method. Glue can be used, but only if it's from a kosher animal. And glue cannot be used around the name of God. So, just to let you know how they would do that. Now, the most exciting part. Okay, poles that hold the Torah. The poles that hold the Torah are called Etz Chaim, and that is meaning tree of life, or trees of life. Now, the poles are made from wood, and of course the tops have inlays of silver, are decorated beautifully. Some other have just types of wood. Now, some people ask, well, what kind of wood is used for those poles? Okay, hard, durable wood. Oak, maple, walnut, cherry, beech nut, ash, or mahogany. And why is because they need to last. If you use soft woods are avoided because they either dent, they split, or they crack. So we want them durable. Torah scrolls are meant to last hundreds of years. So the poles must survive repeating of rolling, unrolling. The symbolic meaning of wood is also a natural material and connects to the biblical phrase, Etz Chaim Hi. The Torah is the tree of life. So when we're holding it, we're holding the tree of life. So when they do this today and they're holding it, they're holding the tree of life. The scripture also says that the Torah itself is described as a tree of life. It's a tree of life to those who hold it or who take fast to it. All right. So, other thing about the poles, and I never knew about it. Why is one pole higher than the other? If you ever see them roll the Torah scroll, you'll see one is higher than the other. The right side pole is higher than the left side because right precedes over left. And it is said also why they have poles is because the ark had 2 poles to carry it. So does the Torah. Oh, I know. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. All right. And of course, there's more. There's a separate class that talks about the crown and the breastplate, and but I did not want to go into that to take away from this study, but also to give you a deeper meaning about the tree of life. It's to remind us that the Torah is alive, is growing, is nourishing, is rooted in God, something we cling to for wisdom and life. Just like the tree that makes those poles offer fruit and shade, sustenance and renewal, so does the Torah. That's the deeper meaning in this, why we should learn about the Torah and everything that goes into it. Because everything that goes into this Torah is a loving act for God. Okay, so coming to the end of our class, again, we went over the parchment and coming from skins of kosher animals, usually cow, sheep, goat, and also sometimes, if you look very carefully, you'll see the little round circles of the hide. Also, the ink, how it was made, where it comes from, that picture of the gall nut, which is really not a nut. The quill, how it comes from a kosher bird. Have you noticed everything here is kosher, kosher, kosher? Yeah, it's the specialness of all what goes into this. It's not like a regular book. It's not. It is something so special. Every step in it is thought through. That's what makes it so special. Again, even the people that write it, not a machine, and a person gives hours and hours and hours of his time, dedication, study to write one. And of course, as we know, kings back in the day had to write their own Torah scroll. So they understood the law. They knew what they had to follow. Again, a sofer must be an observant Jew trained in the halakha, thank you, rules of writing a Torah, works in a state of spiritual awareness. They pray before, they pray after, when they're about to do their writing. Recite blessings before writing sacred names of God. In the writing process, every letter is written by hand, no printing, no mechanical, like a computer, no copiers. There are 304,000 letters in the Torah. They can't, there's 3,004, there's an exact number. Okay, yes. And there has to be that many numbers to write this, that many letters to write this Torah scroll. Again, not one is missing. No errors. If a mistake is made in the writing of God's name, the entire section of the parchment. Remember, there are 3 columns in one section. Write 3 columns all over again for having not written the name of God correctly. Again, and it must be treated and buried in a very specific place. The guidelines, the rules, the lines are ruled on parchment if you've seen this, you can see that to ensure straight writing. Again, as you see in a Torah scroll, there are no vowels. There are no punctuations. When we come up here and read, we better know what that word is. So it takes some studying to do. The Torah is written on individual sheets of parchment, then sewn together with threads made from sinews of kosher animals. The completed scroll is rolled onto wooden rollers. Tree of life. Time and effort. When writing a Torah can take about a year to up to 3 years, even though I said a year and a half. The process is physically, spiritually demanding. It's a work of art, blending craftsmen with devotion. Once completed, a Torah is considered a sacred object and is treated with great honor. And that's why you see that we go ahead and process it, because we're honoring the word of God and we're showing we're following it. It's not the physical thing, it's what it represents. And is stored in a very special place. There are some Torah scrolls that already come, they're not covered like that, they're covered in wooden containers. It's very interesting to see. But it's dressed, it's crowned. And so we go ahead and we honor it in that specific way. Now, just knowing how a Torah scroll is made helps us to appreciate how special it is. It's not a book. It's a result of months and years of work, all the way from making the parchment, the animal itself, raised and grown, fed, and all the way to a completed Torah. There's so much that went into that. It's years of careful work, strict tradition, and deep faith. Process links us to generations who have preserved the Torah the same way for centuries, keeping every letter exactly as it was given, as we're taught it's written. In your Hebrew class, you're learning those same things. Shows that the Torah is more than words on parchment. It is a living connection to our history, our faith, identity, and deserving of great respect. That's why if you've ever seen us, when someone is holding the Torah and they look like they're slipping, they're about to slip, you'll see people rush to it to prevent it from hitting the ground, because we don't want to do that. And so I just hope that you found this just as enlightening as I did when I did the research for this. Again, it's basic. If you find other questions in this, saying, oh, I'd like to figure out how that is, research it. That's what it's supposed to do. So that you will see the Torah isn't just a Torah that we come and read every Shabbat. There's so much that goes into it. And what it gives us is so much that I hope that the training or the class piqued your interest, and that you are able to go and see it differently. And if there's any questions, research it. Like I said, what I've done is only basic, and I hope you found it just as enlightening as I did when I was putting this together. So, You're welcome. Any questions that I can try and answer? No? Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for sitting here. And just know that we recorded this, so if you wanted to go back and look at it, it will be on our website. Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, so we are going to take a break. I'll go ahead and cut off the live stream, and then we will roll into our service at 10:30. So we'll see you there.